I know Teddy is behind it. And I asked you to be honest with me, and you just proved to me that you're always going to choose him over me.
That's not true.
No, that's just what happened.
You know, I'm starting to feel like...
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book. You know what time it is. Talking to you guys about Our Kind of People, Season 1, Episode 4. Another great episode. You know, I love watching this show because, you know, it's just star-studded with black people and just beautiful black people, beautiful, entertaining, talented black people. But on this particular episode, we got to see more of Leah and Raymond's relationship and see some of the distance that's being created. And it's being created because of Teddy, who's being instrumental in, I guess, creating this schism between the two of them because of what we call power plays. And the father not trying to, not respecting Raymond as a man and not respecting him as a family member. Because the way he's dealing with his business, was it Diamond Dumont or something like that, whatever, business, it is evidently being as a pawn to keep him in place, but also to reap the benefits of the business. If he really cared about him as a son-in-law, he wouldn't be treating him as competition. He wouldn't be treating him like one of the people that he has been doing, like he did to that white guy that he did earlier on. He'd have been treating him like a son and bringing him on board. But what he's more focused on is the legacy staying with his daughter and with his side of the family, forgetting that when your daughter marries someone else, it doesn't just become your side of things, it becomes everybody's thing who's involved with that particular family. It's almost like the throne being passed down to Queen Elizabeth, or the throne being passed down to a daughter instead of a son, and it's like, listen, don't let any man usurp you. And that's the kind of position that I think Teddy's kind of taking, thinking that Raymond will try to usurp his daughter. But I think the guy just wants his business back, if I'm honest with you. And the fact that he doesn't want to give it back because he wants to be bailed out and this and that, it's all of that kind of stuff is causing chasms in their relationship. But the show wasn't just about them two. We'll discuss more about what was in this show. But the theme and color that we saw in this episode was white, predominantly. And then we saw aspects of green also come into play. But I want to focus on the rest of the show. So if you're new to the channel, do me a favor, like it, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification of the uploads. And for those of you who are returnees, you already know what it is, baby. You got the minerals, yes. All right then, let's get into the video. But before we do, let's get the conversation flowing and let's get the outro going. Little Black Book, you know what time it is. Yes, we are back. So let's start at the very, very beginning. Let's start early doors of the scene, because this scene really did hurt me and it annoyed me. Okay, it annoyed me because, you know, we get several situations like this for men especially, where she's decided she wants to come to the prison to find the father of her daughter, Nikki. Okay, her past partner. And she has the cheek and the arrogance and the audacity, okay, to make it about him being in prison rather than actually coming humbly, because what you wanted was to get his help on Nikki. She's getting to that age, right? And you're feeling bad because you can see that when you didn't have a relationship with your father, how you felt. And this is what we talk about with men and women. And now listen, it's different. Yes, he's in prison and it's not the best environment, but the knowing is more important. Nikki's of an age now. She's grown. She can make her own decisions. This is why she wants to go and talk to the partner. But she tries to make it as if it was his fault as to why he's not seeing the daughter. Now, don't get it twisted. Yes, it's partly his fault because he's in prison and you can't see the daughter open field. But he's not dead. So she could still see him in the prison. It might be behind closed bars, but she can still see him in prison. And again, remember, it's not about you. I know some people might be thinking, oh, but you know, she has to protect her. No, but you're thinking about you. And you're realizing now it's not about you, because once you realize you're hurt from what Teddy's doing, you don't want to do the same thing to Nikki. Let's watch a little bit of clip and see what I'm talking about.
In fact, you disrespect.
Oh, I went too far.
Isn't?
So I went too far, guys.
Nah, you made that decision.
Because you made a decision that landed you in here.
And you made damn sure I didn't forget it.
Coming here was a mistake.
So he was saying, obviously, that, you know, I didn't get to see the daughter. And she was like saying, yeah, because you made a mistake and landed you in here. So you're now going to cock block the daughter. Sorry, I shouldn't say cock block. You're going to block the daughter from seeing the father. This is what men, I don't want to say all men, a lot of men are experiencing, right? That women use children as weapons in the very early stages of that child's development. But because you're hurt and you're feeling frustrated. Now, again, I'm putting a nuance there, that there is a nuance here, which is that he's in prison. Yes, but you cannot use your child as a weapon. Sometimes what happens is women will use their children as a bargaining tool. As leverage, as a way to hurt the man. But all you're doing is hurting the child. Okay? We got to separate your feelings from what's best for that child. Okay? No one's asked you to throw that child into prison with him. Just there's visitation. It's needed so that there can be a chance to grow that bond, and so that the daughter also has a more wholesome upbringing. He may not be able to be there physically, but at least emotionally she knows that he cares, he loves her, and he's willing to offer support and wisdom. Without it, the daughter feels like she has been abandoned. And trust me, if this was real life, maybe not the show, there will be some level of resentment that will be had because the mum has blocked this movement, right?
My whole life is in check. The whole weight of the state with its knee on my neck. And you think you come correct?
So, obviously he seems a very intelligent individual. Now, he's made a stupid mistake and end up in prison, which is foolish. But he's not like he's trying to avoid being there or wanting to be there, at least in some capacity, for his daughter. So she came down there for the help. Sis, humble yourself. You know what I'm saying? You know exactly how it feels when you don't have a father figure. This is not the time to now play arrogant role and I'm of the moral code and I'm morally higher. And there's no need to talk about colours in the scene because he's wearing a jumpsuit orange. You know what that means. They put you in prison. That's what it was. So yeah, it was interesting to watch that. And again, I think that might come to play a little bit later on. Her own secret of how she's blocked the knowing of her daughter from the father, I think might blow up for her a little bit later on. But let's head straight now to therapy. Let's head to therapy. I think this was an important scene with Raymond and Leah.
Go take a call from him. Her father's always just trying to control everything in our business, in our marriage. I want that man gone.
Is what Raymond...
So in the relationship, they're in therapy, and she actually took a call from her father in therapy. That should let you know. Today, the women are messing up in this episode with their relationships. It's them that are messing up. But, it's honestly, she is not realizing that she's now contributing towards the downfall of her marriage. The marriage is not a business deal. It's a relationship, okay, which involves emotions, which involves you being there and present. And every time you choose your husband, you deny the loyalty to your team. Every time you choose your father, you deny loyalty to your team. Every time you choose your father, you say your husband is not important. Every time you choose your father, he becomes your partner, life partner, rather than the person right in front of you, which is Raymond. And he's getting a little bit frustrated because he realizes that you will always choose your dad over him. And that is a very painful reality for any man in a relationship or a marriage. The same way it's painful for a woman knowing that a man will choose a mother who's instrumentally inclusive and being intrusive in their relationship as one thing that is painful. And the same thing's happening here. We've got a father figure and it's been allowed by Leah to be intrusive in their marriage, and she doesn't see that. Just taking a call on your therapy session should be enough. Your phone should be off, darling. We are focused on making my marriage work. The fact you're in therapy and you don't realize that you're in serious danger and you're taking calls, sis, you're not serious. You're not serious.
Been said upsetting?
Of course. I don't want my father going anywhere. Maybe less involved, but not gone.
Now, what's really interesting is the fact that both of them are wearing very light colors. He's wearing white, she's wearing more cream, and she's actually wearing one whole color. She usually is wearing one whole color because usually things are very simple for her. Just like this situation is very simple for her. It's not complicated. But for Raymond, I've noticed several times throughout the show, last episode we watched it with his daughter, I think the episode before that as well, he's wearing always some breakage of color. right? There's always some kind of additive to his color, whether it's pinstripe, whether it's now he's wearing white, but he's wearing yellow and green with it. He's actually wearing a green suit, actually, to be honest. You know, and again, that really plays into the fact that, you know, when we're talking about green, it's a very earthy, very earthy, down to earth kind of color. It speaks about wealth. It speaks about nature. It speaks about the sereneness as well. You know, talks about new beginnings. If we're talking about that, we're talking about spring and stuff like that. And so the fact that he's wearing that green suit, I think, is really, really important. But the color of it is also important because it's of a kind of a lighter shade. Let's have a look at this.
It's always been me and my father against the world. And being black in business is a fight every day.
And I don't know about that fight, too.
Okay, so we'll look at the green when it gets shown up again in closer view. I'll come back to that. Remind me of that. Now, what's interesting, what she said here, she said, obviously, you know, it's always been me and my father against the world. And that's where she's struggling to see anything different. Because remember, that what happens sometimes is the father becomes a surrogate husband. And what I mean by that is that they take the position of authority. They don't know how to shift the authority now to the husband. When I say authority, it doesn't even necessarily have to be over her. Similarly, in terms of the fact that we are partners on the same level. At this moment, they are not partners on the same level because she can't even be honest with him. She will do deals with her dad and not tell him. Deals with his own business and not tell him. Do you get it? And the fact that she will defend every action of his is speaking volumes of where her loyalty lies, and that's problematic.
That is not what I said.
That's what you're saying.
We talk about double consciousness in our community, but Leah has a third consciousness. As a woman in a male-dominated.
And that's a very true thing. She's got what we call intersectionality. You know, she's a black woman in business, you know, and that makes it difficult. But I don't think that is a part of the reasoning here with the marriage. Let's not focus, again, you know, it's acting, obviously, but that point that you're making about the consciousness got nothing to do. See, we're not addressing the real issue here. You know, we heard that point, but let's address the issue. What is your problem, sir? It's not just the father, it's what he represents. And then we have to get to the deeper aspect of the fact that she also is going through a phase where she's a black woman in business, but also the problem is she's just not focused on the marriage. She's focused on business. And we need to ask her, why is she so focused on the business? What is it about business that it does for you? I mean, he probably was going to get there anyway, but you know, the consciousness, I get it. Yeah, you have to make him understand that. But I didn't think it was a major issue as to what Raymond is dealing with right now, what he's suffering with right now. He's suffering from the fact that he hasn't got a wife. He's got a business partner who's not even honest.
Society. As a mother, that's one other thing that she has to deal with.
What about as a wife? Which consciousness is that?
My guy said he's had enough. He's had enough. Raymond said he's had enough. What do you mean about consciousness? What about the wife consciousness, sir? Yeah, it sounds like you're trying to make excuses. That's what it sounds like to him. Like you're out here trying to make excuses. I've told you there's an issue here. I'm not feeling a certain way, and you're telling me about consciousness? Basically what he's saying is, you want me to understand her position even more? You want to support her even more whilst not dealing with my own issues? Come on now. I actually hear him. You dealing with her again without dealing with my issues? Come on. I don't want to hear that. I didn't pay you for that. I paid you so we can sort these issues. And the issues that are on my side right now, you're not dealing with. You're going back into consciousness. That's what he's thinking, right? And that green it's not super dark. It's more of it's a bit more a middle ground when it comes to greens. A bit more jadish color, if you want to call it that, right? And the color jade, or emerald green, if you want to call it that, close to, represents trust, confidentiality, tact, diplomacy. It's also of a generous spirit, given without return. I'm reading color psychologies. Material well-being, emotional well-being to creative ideas. Okay. It increases worldly wisdom and understanding, assisting in the search of enlightenment. Okay, I hear that still. I guess that kind of plays into here, you know, in a little bit as well. The fact that obviously, you know, it's increasing, it's assisting in search of enlightenment. I think that enlightenment comes about in terms of the relationship, wanting to be more enlightened so that he can actually fully go forward with her in a relationship, which is that he wants trust, but he wants the openness and the honesty. And he knows that his wife doesn't tell him everything. He feels it. He knows every single time she's not being fully honest with me. He deeps it. He gets it. This last part here, really important as well.
One minute she comes to me complaining to me about her father, the next she's right back in his pocket taking orders from him again.
Well, the reputation of my family is on the line.
And so is our marriage.
Buddha boom boom boom. And that is a key thing right now. Their marriage is on the line. They are in danger field. And that's what he's saying. You're so focused on what you're doing, you don't realize we're in therapy, but we're in therapy because we're on the danger line. Not because there's some small issue. We are on the cusp. You're bringing us to the cusp right now. It's mad. Now, this color theme runs on again. Interesting enough as well, between Leah and Tariq.
From the way you're talking, it sounds like maybe you're on her team. I mean, just keep in mind the family who's always had your back.
Isn't it interesting how she tries to flip it on him and say, listen, just remember who's always had your back. Now, what's interesting with the color they're wearing again is all white. And what white represents is innocence, it's the purity, it's the moral standing once more again, etc., etc. Just being untouched, undefiled. And it's interesting that they're wearing this white in this scenario, but they're talking about Angela. And he's almost defending Angela once again. He's showing real douses of innocence. Whereas Angela's almost taking like another moral high standing in this particular situation. Similar to, I think, the last episodes where she was talking about with Angela about when she was cussing her for the fact her mum was a bit of a criminal, right? Similar, she was wearing white then too. The white again represents, like I said, innocence, purity, but it also represents moral high ground. It's like you are morally above other people, and that is the air of the arrogance that you see from Leah. And she reminds him, "Hey, what team are you on?" And you see the innocence on his side, almost like where he's like, "No, Angela's cool. Like, what's wrong with you guys? Like, what's going to happen?" And then his loyalty is also questioned. It's like she throws a rhetorical question, which is actually trying to get him to say, what side are you on? Which is why later on, when he goes to speak then to Angela, he speaks with a tone that's almost as if, I hope you're not trying to get anything out of these people. There you go. Right? So these are powerful, powerful moments.
I mean, you wouldn't want us questioning your loyalty now, would you? Good game.
That is mad. This young brother is under control. The Franklins, right? He feels like he owes them his life. And that's the problem when you feel like you owe someone your life and you don't develop your own center of consciousness in terms of what you are about and what you stand for. And this is why he gets sucked into trying to help the Franklins on their mission. Which is why later on, when he goes to speak to Angela, he goes and he says one thing over the top. Let's have a look. And look at the color contrast. We've gone from innocent to now wearing black when he's talking to Angela. And the reason why is because now he's turned into controller, gone away from innocence into controller. The word that he goes to say, the things he goes to say are about trying to control the reactions.
Is there something that you want from the Franklins?
Why does everybody keep asking me that?
Because that's how these people think. Look, I told you I'll help you navigate this world around here, but my advice, don't go poking the bear because pretty...
So now he's giving her advice. And I think her reaction was maybe a little bit over the top. Yeah. But obviously, because we know where he's coming from too, the fact that he's a snake in the grass, it's harder to be like, oh, her reaction was wrong. But I did get what he meant. Like you're poking the bear, you're trying to upset things, you're trying to bring change, and anytime you're trying to bring change, you cause ruckus, you cause ripple effects, you cause people to be feeling some type of way, right? But she just wants to win. She just wants to do her thing. And the fact that he's wearing black in this scene is so interesting because, like I said, power and control. All right, mystery. And in the scene, he's trying to control the narrative here. And he's trying to make sure that she doesn't go down a certain route because of what he just got told in the other scene. So he's gone from white to black. Now, I want to go to another conversation which was so powerful. It was between Angela and Leah and her husband. This was a key scene. Watch this.
Taking off the mask. I hated having to get bailed out. I'm the head of this family. It's my responsibility to take care of you, the kids, and the business.
But you do. You take care of us and the business.
Do you know what I loved about this conversation at the beginning, right? It was affirming, right? There was no hint of emasculation from Leah. There was no hint of trying to outdo her husband. There was no hint of, pushing him down or insulting him. None of that. She's uplifted him and said, listen, look, you do take care of the family. You do are the head of the home. You do this, you do that. But the only thing is, the way she does business, because it's with her father, it doesn't feel like that to him. He's not going to have his independence the way he wants to, right? So this conversation was a very open, real story. He said, I didn't like being bailed out. And the reason why he didn't like being bailed out is because who he was bailed out by was by someone who's taken advantage of that particular point in weakness and time. And now they're using it against him. That's why he doesn't like the bailout. If had it been someone who loved and cared him and bailed him out, had it been her, had it been his wife that bailed him out properly, and I say that in the sense of the wife was the proxy for the father. The father's taking the business underneath his wing and is using it anyhow, anyway. He just used it as a move at the end against the white guy. So it's very important to know, why he's feeling the way he's feeling. He's feeling that way because he realizes his wife is a proxy. She's a flying monkey in a narcissist's face, being used for him anyway, against him.
And I appreciate the honesty.
Speaking of honesty, I've been locked out of the books at Darman.
And this is where it gets techie. Now, if you notice, she's wearing a bright yellow. And we always talk about yellow being used as consciousness, like being a spiritually awakened, wisdom being added. Let me go for my terms for you guys as well. All right. It is the acquirement of knowledge. It resonates with logic. It also is about uplifting, illuminating, offering hope, happiness. The idea of new colors, helping us find new ways to do new things. It's a thinker, not a dreamer. And we've seen a scene here. She's wearing bright yellow.
I'm not even authorized to see a projection report. Why is that?
Maybe it's an accounting thing.
And out here, she's out here playing dumb, as if he doesn't know, as if why he can't see the books. Sis, you already know why he can't see the books, because your dad is controlling things. And that is where your loyalty again is being tested. You didn't realize you're between a rock and a hard place. You're gonna have to choose between your husband or your father. You're gonna have to choose between if your dad doesn't leave as well and doesn't die before the time, you're gonna have to choose your empire or your husband's empire, which may not be the greatest empire because he hasn't got his Damian yet. But you're gonna have to make a choice very soon. You're in between, okay? All right, you're gonna have to find a way to make this work, because right now she's in a situation where she's now lying to her husband, and he knows she's lying. You don't want to ever be in that place where you're in a relationship and you're lying to your partner, and they know you're lying, because if they're not saying anything to you, it means they're counting and they're totting up. They are counting and totting up, right? And a part of yellow also is lacking compassion and being non-emotional and being deceitful. I didn't even realize that. Okay, so that's part of yellow, negative traits of yellow. And we're getting that deceitfulness right now. We're getting that deceitfulness in this movement where she's not being honest with him.
I know Teddy is blinded. I asked you to be honest with me, and you just proved to me that you're always going to choose him over me.
That's not.
Now, she doesn't see it as her choosing her father over him, but to him, he's going to always see it that way, because, again, it's about loyalty, and it's about trust, it's about honesty, it's about being open and vulnerable. And who are you doing that with? Are you sharing those secrets that you have with your father with him? Because if you're not doing that, then it's going to look like you are really one-sided. Now, I don't think she's necessarily trying to side with her father, but I think she's trying to think, look, this is business, and there's some things in business that happen. You just don't have to talk about it with your partner, right? But the problem is that what happened with the business, it's happened with Damian, his business. It's happened with his business, and you haven't told him. Why? Because you're still thinking about you and your family name and legacy. That's why. Now, you thought you could make a move against your dad, and you think you're smarter than your father, and you're not enlisting the help of your husband. Two are stronger than one. You tried to do a coup d'etat, or whatever it's called, right, against your dad. It didn't work out, and you're still trying to go solo? You still want to go solo? Sis, you're not going about it the right way. The reputation of your name is greater than greater than the actual reality of your marriage at the moment. The greater name is becoming an overshadowing of actually what's happening within the reality of life, right? If I have another look at this next scene where here between Angela and Leah.
Father's focus and love. And I shattered my mother's already fragile mind. And you being the...
It's crazy because Leah here is trying to blame Angela, or her mother at least, for breaking up her family. Look, darling, listen, don't get twisted. Listen, that woman, Angela's mother's got to take some smoke, but your daddy is the one that stepped out. He was the one that was in the marriage. It's not like Angela's mum took him unconsentfully. He wanted to go. He had an affair because he wanted to. That is it. And you're blaming Angela and her mother for the pain that you're feeling, but it's not their problem. It's yours. You are projecting right now because you're in pain and you don't want to necessarily deal with it. The truth is, your father messed up. He is the problem. He's a problem. And you're missing out on an opportunity again to form another coalition because their emotions are talking the hardest. Okay. Let's have a look at this.
Something to believe in, you will find that at Youth's Crown. So I'm stepping back into my roots with my family because we are the Vaughn women and we stand on our own name.
It's very interesting, this particular scene, because I think the way that Nikki was talking, I didn't sense all that confidence. It was a small confidence there, but it wasn't fully owning it, And I guess, again, wearing green is part of that natural, down-to-earth kind of feel. It's because she also didn't want to do it personally beforehand, and she's doing it now for the fam, she's doing it for the name, whatever. But that was not her first thought. She didn't really want to do it. She wanted to back out, and she did back out. And now she's back on again because at the request of her auntie to say, your family needs you. And actually, it was quite a manipulative thing to do, actually. Yeah, it was a little bit manipulative to use the fact that your family needs you when you've already discussed, I don't want to be that thing because of what I've experienced, rather than just having a conversation with her. It was more a manipulation to get Nikki to jump on board, which actually I'm not agreeing with. Family is family, but we shouldn't have to manipulate people into doing what we want them to do. They should want to do it, but they shouldn't be manipulated into doing it. You know what I'm saying? They shouldn't be manipulated into do it. So yeah, I was happy that she wanted to do it in the end, and I love the fact that she stood on her morals and said, "Listen, I want to help people who are being called names, being bullied. I want to help them be strengthened." I mean, there's going to be a lot that's going to come her way. I'm guessing now she's a face of something. I'm sure all the old videos will pop up and surface. And the fact that she had a kiss also with Taylor, I said, Taylor out here playing the game, and so are you, Nikki, because you already saw the fact that Taylor was kissing old girl Lauren. This is going to end up bad. It's going to be a horrible triangle. Already, Lauren doesn't want to tell the people the truth about her being in a gay relationship, in a homosexual relationship, and then now you want to add the fact that she's in a triangle for it as well. Oh man, I said, nah, this is not going to end well for Lauren. She's going to really have an outbreak, and she might have a mental breakdown. Right? We might see a repeat of history. The fact that another Vaughn has taken the person off the Franklins. We're going to have a repeat of history, it seems like. Oh, no. I was not impressed. And in the final scene, obviously, we got to see Raymond is on job. My guy said, listen, brother, I'm not playing this game no more. I am about to take the whole world by storm.
Yeah, that'd be great, but I'm gonna be out for a while.
Dark green
Took the
chill.
chopper out here to New York. I have that Kingship Regional meeting in the morning. I'm gonna stay at the penthouse.
My man said, basically, I don't want to see you, I don't want to hear you, I don't want to smell you. I'm going to be staying away from you. And I'm also going to be getting dirt on your dad because it's time to end things between us two. Remember, I told you guys as well, there's a power play between Raymond and the father. We also saw that in episode 3 where they met in the boardroom. He has tried to make reasonable requests to have his business back. The father doesn't listen. Those who do not hear must feel. And that is the operation that Raymond's working on right now, which is why we're in dark green. But then, sir, meeting your ex-wife who's a financial reporter is going to cause a storm in your relationship. If she finds out it's all over, Jackie, she's going to make you pay. Because all the pain of the past that she has not healed from in terms of her mother and her father, it is going to collapse onto your neck. It's going to be peak. I'm telling you, in the next few weeks. So yeah, listen, guys, I hope you liked the review. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment down below. What was your thoughts on the episode? What did you guys see? What did you guys deep about the situation? We appreciate you guys. Stay locked and stay loaded. Appreciate ya. Stay hydrated.